I'm your man Tonka. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. Listen, so you want to get the Magfed, eh? So in this video, what I'm going to talk about is the 7 hacks to become the most effective player on the field to get maximum kills while you're playing. That way, you know what? You really have an enjoyment and get that satisfaction of playing Magfed Paintball each and every time you go out. And listen, if you haven't already seen my 7 must-haves video, here's a link right here. Check it out. You're not going to want to miss it because, again, it's going to make you the real threat on the field. All right, so listen, before I go on, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe and like the video by clicking on the buttons below. And also, I want to give a big shout out, as always, to my sponsors, which is Tier 1 Armament Store. The link is right here, and Tactical Sports in Barrie. Please show your love to them. Tell them you're from the Tonka Tactical Group. Watch the video. These guys are outstanding. They have the best prices that I know of. They're a great bunch of guys. They live for paintball, and they'll answer all your online or your paintball needs. And Tier 1 Armament Store, if you don't already know, they're the exclusive distributor for MCS stuff, and they can often get this stuff cheaper in Canada than you can get directly off the store. So, I haven't gotten that out of the way. Let's talk about the 7 hacks to become the most effective killer on the field so you get maximum kills. And again, enjoy that game much, much more. All right, so let's talk about number 1. And number 1 is you have to know the parameters of your marker. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is as soon as you raise your marker, you know where that paintball or that first strike is going to be shooting or targeting or hitting, okay? Without you even really looking down the barrel or looking down your sight, okay? Because when you know the parameters of your marker, you know, flipping it from side to side and so on and so forth, almost every single time you can almost guarantee your shot. Because remember, when you're running Magfed, you really only have a limited number of, start my first strike round. You really only have a limited number of rounds, so every shot counts. And also, let me tell you something. If you're not in Magfed, but you're watching this video, really, the hacks I'm going to teach you today, you can use this right across the board, no matter if you're playing Hopper-Fed, Speedball, or Magfed. Really, when it comes to Magfed, because you only have a limited amount of rounds in both in your magazine, on what you're carrying on your vest or wherever you're carrying it, you really, really have to be accurate with your shots, and every shot counts, all right? So again, number 1, know the parameters of your marker. Again, as soon as you raise it, you know where that ball or that first strike round is going to be hit. Once it becomes second nature, once it becomes so natural, then your gameplay becomes that much more effective, and you become much more of a greater team member and get those goals and win those games. All right? So let's talk about number 2. Okay, so number 2 is you have to have your sight zeroed in, okay? Now, as I said to you before, I normally run first strike rounds, as everybody knows, simply because of the effectiveness and the accuracy of first strike rounds. And if you don't know what the first strike round is, again, check my previous video, the 7 must-haves to be an effective paintball, a big threat on the field. But when you use first strikes, you have to have your sight zeroed in, because when you have it zeroed in, you know exactly where that round is going to be landing, okay? When you use round ball is not so much, you don't really need the sight as much, because with the round ball, it does have a tendency of deviating with the wind. But again, you can get better barrels that are accurately bored to the exact specifications, or pretty close to the exact specifications of the round ball, so that'll launch faster, okay? But again, because ammo is limited, you really have to zero in your sight, okay? All right, so let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is really, really important, okay? Now, often, when your adrenaline's rushing, you see the enemy approaching, you just want to take shots as fast as you can, get them at a distance. But a better way is have them come close up to you. You know, you've often heard, wait until you see the whites of their eyes, right? Well, you can't see the whites of their eyes through the masks, but you get the point. You want them to come really, really close. And the reason why that is for a few reasons. Number one, you know that when you shoot, the accuracy, the probability of hitting that person when they're close up is much greater, right? Again, it's about conserving your rounds, right? Making every round count. The second thing is barrel movement, okay, rifle movement. The less you have to move your marker, the better the accuracy, and again, the higher the probability of shooting someone. So if there's a group of people coming, you really only want minimal movement. When they're close up, that allows you to have that minimal movement of your barrel. When they're further out, obviously, you have to track or you have to move your barrel that much more. So there's a time issue, okay, which is at least inefficiency, and of course, accuracy. All right? And the other thing is, we know the balls, depending on the field, run about 280 feet per second. So you know when they're close up, their chance of them missing or dodging or hitting the shot and moving out of the way or jumping behind a bunker is really, really minimal. Because again, the round is moving so quickly and they're so close that bam, they're going to get nailed before they even know what happened to them. All right? So keep it close, be calm, wait until they get close up, and then start shooting at your targets. All right? So let's move on to number 4. Okay, so number 4. Okay, as I said a number of times throughout this video, ammo is limited, right? And when you run out, you gotta grab for another mag, slap it back in. And there's a time difference or a time delay in doing that. So often, when you're in a firefight, you want to keep that time to a minimum, right? You want to be able to fire, quick, fire, quick mag change or whatever. But sometimes the battle is so intense, get a secondary. It'll always come in handy. And at the same time, you'll see in my other videos, which I'll try to show here, sometimes when you're sneaking up, it's a lot more efficient to run a handgun as opposed to a long gun. All right? So, if you can, get a secondary because it's much faster to change to a secondary instead of reloading. All right? So let's talk about number 5. Okay, so hack number 5, and that is control your breathing. It is all too often easy when in the heat of battle or whatever, when all things are going crazy, to start breathing heavy, right? Get that adrenaline rush, right? But the key is to always control your breathing. Because when you control your breathing, you control your heart rate. And when you control your heart rate, you can control your thinking because your mind's not racing. It's not, because you're not in that flight or flight panic mode, right? Because when you're in that fight or flight panic mode, you often have a tendency of thinking irrationally. And when you're able to think calmly, you can assess the situation and act accordingly, appropriately, okay? So, as much as you possibly can, control your breathing. The other thing is, believe it or not, when you're walking around, especially indoors, when everything's really, really quiet, when you have a heavy breath, you're breathing heavily, it gives your position away potentially. Okay, now I know it's sometimes hard to control your breathing, so what I tend to do is I keep my mouth wide open under my mask, right? When you have your mouth wide open, the sound of your breath is a lot quieter. And when you have it quieter, again, you can sneak around better without giving away your position. So again, and it is hard. I'm going to tell you right now. Now, I've become a master at, controlling my breathing because my favorite part of playing paintball is running on my own. Why do I run on my own? Because I love the intensity, that adrenaline rush. When you're running around your own, especially when you're behind the enemy line, and you have all these guys or all these players running around, well, you're looking for you. Man, that rush, again, especially Magfed, because you know you're on limited rounds, limited ammo, that rush is more intense than I find at least, when you're running with a bunch of guys. And that satisfaction, being able to snipe these guys off or take out a bunch of guys on your own, man, nothing beats that. And that's why I love going to a place, if you've seen my videos, I love going to PRZ, because it's really easy to go on your own, be inside, it's really, really intense and so on and so forth. But yeah, control your breathing, because again, when you control your breathing, you control your heart rate, and when you control control your heart rate, you control the way you think, how clearly you can think, how rationally you can think. All right, so let's go on to the next hack. Okay, so hack number 6, and this is really, really important, okay? And this goes again with any kind of marker, whatever, however you're playing, woods ball, indoor, whatever the case may be. And that is situational awareness. Situational awareness and anticipating where your enemies are or where they're going to be moving. I'm going to tell you again, and I always relate to PRZ, but again, this translates to any field. PRZ is a big building, it's an old insane asylum, mental institution. And so there are windows everywhere. There's doorways, there's different levels and stuff like that. So people can snipe you through the windows as you pass through an open doorway leading to the outside. There's second floor and third floor snipers that can snipe you off. So really, you have to be aware of everything that's going on. Not just visually, but acoustically. You have to be able to hear what's going on. If you hear a step, you got to signal. You got to bend down. You got to whatever, crouch down or whatever. Hearing steps, ricochets, and where the balls are flying through what windows, hearing against the walls and all that sort of stuff. You have to be aware of everything. But not just be aware of everything in terms of sounds and stuff like that, but you also have to look at where the bunkers are, where you can sneak, where a potential enemy can hide. You have to anticipate that, right? But not only that, but you'll see in this video is here, okay? Now, hopefully I'm finding the videos I can post out so you can see what I'm talking about in my particular gameplays. But listen, you might be stalking down an enemy, or that enemy you might be having in a gun battle, right? You have to be able to change your position and maybe sneak around them. But as you're sneaking around them, you know that they know you're not firing at them. So they know you might be either changing position, changing your mags, waiting them out, or whatever. And depending on how they're thinking, they might move to a different position. So you have to be aware with situational awareness what's around you, where they could potentially move, right? And as you're sneaking around them, you gotta keep that in mind. That way you always have the upper hands, right? You always want that upper hand because you're gonna be moving. They're gonna be moving. You gotta figure out, okay, where are they moving? If you don't hear them firing or whatever, what are they doing? Are they moving to another bunker? Are they just hanging low? Or hanging down? Or are they hiding? Are they waiting for their teammates and stuff like that? You have to be knowing, you got to think what's going on, right? Situational awareness and anticipating where your enemy is moving. Really, really important, okay? And number 7, let's check that one out. Okay, so number 7, hack number 7. This is really important, okay? And that is looking or pointing where you're looking, okay? Down a hallway, through a field, through the forest, whatever the case may be, you always want to be looking or aiming where you're looking, okay? Because as soon as you see someone, you want to have everything at the ready, right? You don't want to be looking and then having to raise your marker because you know there's going to be a delay. And when there's a delay, the chance of you getting hit is very high, or the chance of you nailing that guy is very low or becoming lower, right? You want to be able to have that fast reaction, so you might have it slightly down a bit so you can see what's going on around you, but only a bit, right? You want to be able to raise up right away, right where you're looking, and fire at your enemy, okay? It's about, again, I keep saying it over and over again, right? It's about conserving your ammo, making every shot count, all right? So, have your weapon pointed to where you're looking at all times. Whether you're crouching down, you're looking up, you're moving around, have it pointing at all times. Have it pointed where you're looking at all times. I apologize for a few mistakes that I've made, but I'm so excited about sharing these details with you because, like I said, you're always, man, I'm going to tell you right now, once you try Magfed, you'll probably never switch back to any other form of paintball. It's such an amazing, realistic kind of gameplay. The adrenaline rush is awesome. It's just mind-blowing. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Listen, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Please like my channel, this video. It really helps me a lot with, of course, the algorithm. And listen, if you haven't already, join my Facebook group, the Tonka Tactical Facebook group. There's about 1,500 members, or at least we're approaching 1,500 members. A lot of cool things are happening there where we give out new markers to new players. You can win a whole bunch of awesome paintball gear and so on and so forth. And listen, like I said before, we have two amazing sponsors. Please show them their love. Show them your love. Mention you're from the Tonka Tactical Facebook group or just Tonka Tactical or whatever the case would be. Again, it's Tier 1 Armament Store and Tactical Sports in Barrie. They're outstanding guys, and again, they have the best prices that I know of. All right, thank you for joining me here today. Tonka out.